Emerson Palmieri set to join Chelsea, Batshuayi to Dortmund, Aubameyang to Arsenal and Giroud to Chelsea. Make sure you watch the whole video to find out about all of that, plus of course the preview of our game against Bournemouth. Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea from our preview of the Chelsea versus Bournemouth game in the Premier League taking place tomorrow evening at Stamford Bridge, with the kickoff being at 7:45 UK time. And this is going to be quite a long video because there is just a lot to get through really, but believe it or not, this is going to be our last midweek game for a while now. For as far as I know, I think until we play Barcelona on February the 20th, so that's going to be a while. Thank God this period is finally over. Let's give the players some rest. We can work on things in training again, thank the Lord, but let's actually get into the preview now. And speaking about our opposition, Bournemouth, they're currently 12th in the table with 25 points from 24 games, scoring 25 and conceding 36 goals in their 6 wins, 7 draws and 11 defeats. They had a very tough period from November till around Christmas, but recently their results have definitely picked up. They haven't lost in the league since their 4-0 defeat to Manchester City on December 23rd actually. Well, they did get 4 draws out of their last 6 games since then. They did also beat Everton and Arsenal 2-1. We have faced them twice already this season, 2 very close affairs to be honest. Most recently on December 20th in the League Cup quarter-final when we beat them 2-1, being 1-0 up for a long period of the game, conceding the 1-0 in injury time and Morata making it 2-1 just seconds later. And obviously our 1-0 away win in the Premier League back in October. They usually do go for a 4 at the back formation, but against teams that do tend to play 3 at the back, they do the same. Like against us, also against Arsenal and also West Ham last week. The danger men, I'd say, are Callum Wilson with 6 goals, Ryan Fraser, who's having a very good season at left midfield and just midfield in general, and also Andrew Sermon, who's got 4 assists. Bournemouth are looking quite good on the injury front at the moment. Jermaine Defoe is their only injured player, as Joshua King and Junior Stanislas both return from injury. But that's it about Bournemouth, and now coming to a very interesting press conference. First of all, Conte confirmed that Alvaro Morata, David Luiz and Willian will miss the game with injury tomorrow, but both Thibaut Courtois and Cesc Fabregas are okay to play tomorrow and are available for selection. He did say David Luiz picked up an ankle injury 2 days before the Newcastle game on Friday, but after the press conference that's why we didn't know anything about it, and he's trying to recover but needs a little bit of time. And now coming to transfer news basically. Firstly, we have loaned out Charlie Musonda to Celtic Glasgow until the end of next season, not the end of this season, next season, and Barbara Rahman to Schalke for the exact same time period. I'm not the biggest fan of Musonda going to Celtic. Yes, they play in the Champions League usually and are now in the Europa League for the second part of the season. But the league isn't just very good. But he should get used to the physical side of things. He will be the starter there. Apparently, Brendan Rodgers has, secured him a starting spot. So, if he gets playing time there, if he scores goals, gets assists, gets his confidence up, bulks up a little bit, just gets used to playing in a physical league, which, Scotland is even more so than England, obviously, and Adeptus came to that. I think it could be a very good move. And also, I think it's good that we gave him an 18 or 16 month loan rather than just 6 months because, it takes some time to settle. And especially over the summer period, he knows where he's going to be next season. So I think that makes things a little bit easier for him and easier for him to improve. But moving on from that and to other transfer news, over the last few days, it turned out that we aren't getting any Dzeko from Roma. Reports saying different things, but the most likely reason being that Dzeko wanted a 3.5-year deal. But obviously Chelsea weren't willing to do that with their policy of only 1-year deals for players above 30. I'm not 100% sure whether we did offer 2.5 years and he turned that down, or if we actually stuck to 1 or 1.5 years. I would have thought 2.5 years, that would have been a decent, deal for both parties. But, well, it's not happening. His wage demands weren't, all that much either, to be honest. They were rumoured to be between £90,000 a week and £110,000 a week. For a striker, even at almost 32, that scored 40 goals in all competitions last season, that is actually quite cheap. Around £100,000 per week is... For a striker that scores that many goals, that is cheap for nowadays standards anyway in the Premier League. As much as I would have wanted Dzeko, I can understand why the club didn't want to change the policy about the 30-plus-year-old players only getting a 1-year contract. Because former players would think, well, why did that guy get it? And I didn't, especially players like John Terry and Frank Lampard or even Didier Drogba. And also players that will turn 30 soon or are 30 already and are looking to extend their deal soon. Like Willian, Pedro, Fabregas, those kind of players. So you kind of risk it because we have this policy in place, every player knows about it, and they don't moan if you don't give them more. But if you give that to Dzeko, if you give him a 3.5 or 2.5 year deal, the other players will say, well, I want a 2.5 or 3 year deal as well. And, then obviously the club would be in a certain tricky situation, if you will. Now we are apparently looking at a different striker option. It's not Andy Carroll. It's not Peter Crouch. But it's not that much better either, to be honest. It's Olivier Giroud from Arsenal, the 31-year-old French striker. Last night reports came out that Chelsea and Arsenal agreed a £15 million deal for the player, although a few hours later or in the morning some reports suggested that that isn't true. But even if it is, what reportedly is going on is almost a love triangle between 3 clubs and 3 players. We want Giroud. For us to get Giroud, Arsenal want another striker. They want Aubameyang. For that to happen, Dortmund want a striker replacement and they want Batshuayi. So basically, if we give Batshuayi to Dortmund, reportedly on a loan, Arsenal might sign Aubameyang and then we might get Giroud. So, don't ask me why we're not just swapping Michy Batshuayi plus some cash for Aubameyang, but that's what Conte and apparently the board want. A target man. But saying all of that, in a press conference, Conte said that Batshuayi trained with the squad today and is in contention for tomorrow's game. So unless things change drastically, Batshuayi kinda looks set to stay, because the transfer window closes tomorrow night at 11 PM and everything about the deals has to be finalised by February 1st, 1 AM, so just 2 hours later. And Michy can't exactly do a medical if he's playing tomorrow night, can he? But when asked if it's not difficult to prepare a game, if you're not sure whether your only available striker, Batshuayi, might not be available or might not even be here tomorrow, Conte said, and I quote, "Yeah, for sure it's not the best situation to prepare an important league game, but those are the kind of situations you have to be prepared to face." And later on, Conte said, "We have one situation to solve before the window closes, and it's not easy with Morata and Willian's injury and the situation with Batshuayi being imbalanced." He then said Batshuayi trained well today and Conte prepared the game with him, and that just no one knows what might happen tonight or tomorrow even. So that then kind of suggests that he might still leave, even though, he is apparently in contention tomorrow and, trained with the squad. God knows what's going to happen. So, will this Michy Batshuayi to Dortmund, Aubameyang to Arsenal, and Giroud to Chelsea deal happen? Again, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I'd say it's pretty clear if Batshuayi is involved tomorrow, whether that is being in the starting lineup or on the bench, I think he's staying. After the press conference though, news broke by Sky Sports that Aubameyang is on his way to London and Arsenal now, and even that he's already arrived at Arsenal's training ground. So that makes it look like this triangle deal might actually happen. To be honest guys, I don't know. I hate the thought of Aubameyang joining our rivals, Arsenal, and us signing their third choice striker. Even though, if you want the target man, Giroud isn't a bad option. And he is, basically starting ahead of, like I said, for the French national team. But in reality, if they sign Aubameyang, he's their third choice striker. And Chelsea signing Arsenal, third choice striker, that thought just hurts my brain. And my heart as well, so I'm not a fan of that. Continuing with the press conference, because of all those mentioned things, Conte said that the game certainly won't be easy for us tomorrow. He said it, and I agree with it. It's a bit stupid that there are games being played on transfer deadline day, because it makes things very complicated, unnecessarily complicated. The next few weeks, we don't have any midweek games, so the game didn't have to be held tomorrow. It could have been just held next week. Would have made things a lot easier, but not just for Chelsea, obviously. For everyone. It just complicates things. Either you change something about, the transfer market, or you change something about the fixtures, because there's no point having to prepare a game with a striker or a player that you're not even sure whether he's going to be there the day after for the actual game. So that's obviously a bit frustrating. Now coming to the last bit of the press conference, and he was asked about Emerson Palmieri. Conte said what he said before. If we loan out Kennedy, which we obviously did, we have 2 options. Either bring in a new player, or use a young player like Dujon Sterling, who is a very good prospect for Chelsea. Conte said he basically doesn't know all too much about Palmieri. He knows he had a very important and good season last year, but then he tore his ACL, and he just came back from injury and only played 1 game so far since his return. Conte said, and I quote, "We are talking about a player from another team in this moment," which in my opinion clearly hints that Emerson Palmieri is joining Chelsea either today or tomorrow. And basically every report out there suggests the same thing as well. All I can say is that football experts in Italy say he was the second best left back in Serie A last season behind Alexandro, better than for example Gulam from Napoli. Yes, he had that long-term injury, but from people that have seen him play a lot, which I haven't, the only thing you hear about him is praise. They say he would walk into our starting 11 ahead of Alonso, even if we just get 80 or 90% of the player he was before his injury. So, that obviously bodes well. That sounds very good. Hopefully he is that good if he joins us, and we'll have to wait and see. But like I said, it looks basically set to happen. Now coming to Chelsea and speaking about our lineup. I'm going to just go ahead as if Michy Batshuayi will be involved, because if he's not, we're probably going to have to do a front 3 of Pedro, Hazard and Barkley, or possibly a 3-5-2 without a real striker, but that then would surprise me. But I'd go with a 3-4-3, Courtois in goal as obviously he has returned from injury, Azpilicueta, Andreas Christensen and Gary Cahill as the 3 centre-backs, just because Rudiger has played a lot of games recently, and I think Cahill did well when he played, so why not play Cahill, just rotate them a little bit. Then Victor Moses as the right wing back and Zappacosta actually as the left wing back to rest Alonso, but it will probably be the Spaniard who starts, because I don't think Conte is the biggest fan of starting a right-footed player as the left wing back. Unless he's Azpilicueta of course, but Azpilicueta is a lot better than Zappacosta, let's be honest. Then the 2 central midfielders I would go with N'Golo Kante and Cesc Fabregas, but it will probably be Kante and Bakayoko, just because that's what Antonio Conte will go for, even though I don't see the point of playing 2 central midfielders, 2 defensive midfielders against Bournemouth at home, but it's going to be Bakayoko. And then obviously the front 3, if Batshuayi is involved, will almost certainly be Hazard, Pedro, and then obviously Batshuayi up front. And it will be a difficult game, that's for sure. But play on the front foot, cage them in, control the game, and be wary of their counter-attacks, and to be honest, we should be fine. So my score prediction, if Batshuayi is around, I'm going for a 2-1 win. Without him, to be honest, I can very much see a draw, because without Willian, just Hazard, who, has played a lot of games recently as well, Pedro, and Barkley, who isn't ready to, be as important as he can be, if he gets playing time and stuff and gets properly match fit, I don't see us scoring all too many, because like I said, Bournemouth have been on a decent run recently, not lost since December 23rd. Without Batshuayi, I could very much see a draw, like a 1-1 draw for example. But yeah, with him, can see a win, but that's really it from me. Leave me all of your thoughts down in the comment section below on everything that I have mentioned. Emerson Palmieri to Chelsea, that whole love triangle move between Chelsea, Dortmund and Arsenal. Leave me all of your thoughts on that down in the comment section below as well. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Don't forget to check out my social media, which is Laos1507 on both Instagram and Twitter. As you can see over here, like I said, Laos1507. It'd be class if you could follow me over there. Also, don't forget to subscribe to 100% Chelsea. Just click the button up there and you can subscribe if you haven't already. We'd massively appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. Let's see what happens on transfer deadline day. And obviously also the game tomorrow night. Up the Chelsea. And I'll see you next time.